Okay, one computer overheat later. Let's try this again. Oh, I might have to turn the settings down just a touch. I did actually boot this up, and I had just started the tutorial when the whole thing decided to go pop. So, I might have to turn the settings down. I figured that if my system could run Doom the Dark Ages, it could probably run this. Maybe, maybe not. Then again, didn't I turn everything down in Doom the Dark Ages to medium? And we have this poor disclaimer at the, or we have this disclaimer at the front because the devs. I feel bad for the devs because they started developing this game at least in 2020, if not earlier. And Russia, back then Russia was considered a peer or near peer adversary to the West, and then the invasion of Ukraine happened. And aside from creating its own storm of controversies regarding the game and how you had some people claiming that Russia should be crap in the game because Russia was crap in real life, even though that would make half the game incredibly boring and unfun, and the other half arguably just as boring and unfun. And then you had the pro-Russian English-speaking fanboys who argued that Russia could overrun Ukraine in half an hour if they wanted to, be in Berlin by, I don't know, a few days, and then be in Chicago and Los Angeles by next week. And it's just a massive headache. I do like this image though, because I think it's funny. You've got, I don't have a mouse, there it is. You've got an American tank. You've got American infantry. You got a US helicopter over here. You can tell this is US infantry because of the guns they have. You've got what appears to be an F-35 over here, an Apache over here, a V-2 up here, a V-22 Osprey up here. Everything I've named so far is all American, all US equipment. And then you have Russian planes up here at the top. You've got what appear to be these three have cannards. I can't tell if those are Su-30s, Su-33s, or Su-34s. The cockpit doesn't, the nose section doesn't seem too wide for them to be Su-34s, so they're either Su-30s or Su-33s. And then you've got this thing up here, and I don't know if that's supposed to be a Tu-160 or a B-1B, but still, I just find it funny. Okay, so we have the menu, which, yes, you can look around in the menu. So I will go into the settings, and I will grab the presets, and I will set them to medium. And I will hit apply. So. Back. So, yeah. We got news, which, I mean, I like having a news feed here. We've got access to the Steam Workshop. We've got all this. I'll probably end up making a scenario just like of my own, which I'm just going to use as like a test range. We don't appear to have one of those officially, which is fine. Anyway, campaign. Get back to what I was getting at. I'm gonna... well, I can't skip the cutscenes.
American military presence in the Baltics has been reinforced in response to the Russian military exercises held on both sides of the Sawatki Gap in Kaliningrad and Belarus.
Okay.
With more than 40,000 military personnel involved, ships, tanks, planes, and helicopters, it's the biggest military exercise ever held in the region. Camp Herkus, the new permanent U.S. base in the region, is at the epicenter of tensions, as U.S. and Russian military exercises are held simultaneously less than 20 miles away from each other.
The need for the permanent deployment of U.S. forces in Lithuania is more apparent than ever.
Well, not the exercise.
And we are looking forward to continuing to take advantage of opportunities.
Everything in Europe in this area is relatively
of our forces, providing a credible deterrent against any potential aggression, and to operate more effectively should deterrents fail.
General Bennett, you are in charge of U.S. military operations in the region. Why are U.S. forces in such close proximity to the Russian exercise? Don't you fear this aggressive posture could lead to an escalation?
Last time I checked, Lithuania was a sovereign country. If it is their wish to host permanent U.S. forces on their soil, I don't see why Moscow should have a say in that.
That is true.
Now, if you excuse me, I have a military exercise to prepare.
Thank you, General Bennett.
So...
Good morning, Commander. So, have you seen me on the news? Everyone's talking about...
Okay. So, just from the very start, if I can level one criticism, why, when it comes to generals in fiction, are they always depicted as super gruff? Super gruff, generally very gung-ho. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he made a point. That's what Lithuania wants. Moscow doesn't have a say in what Lithuania wants. If Lithuania wants to permanently station U.S. forces on their territory, that's their decision. Moscow doesn't have a say in that. I just... Anyway.
Good morning, Commander.
Oh,
so,
it starts.
have you seen me on the news? Everyone's talking about this exercise. It's not every day you see such a display of power. Reminds me of Desert Storm in 91.
See what I mean about gung-ho?
The good old days. Anyway, Major Williams, how are the preparations coming along?
The men are ready, General. We can begin the exercise.
All right then, showtime.
Oh, one last thing, General. A special diplomatic envoy sent by Washington has demanded to meet you. Counselor Miller?
Of course it's Miller. No military demonstration in the world is complete without this vulture showing up. His stupid face is the last thing I want to see today. So let's go. We're on a schedule.
Well, I say gung-ho. I just... Is there any way I can... Oh, okay. I say gung-ho. Yeah. I'm not really in any position to try and argue one way or the other. I don't have any military experience after all, much less at that kind of rank. I don't know. It just seems like generals in military fiction are oftentimes made incredibly, and I keep saying the word gung-ho. That's the only word I could think of that's the only thing I could think of to describe it. C-17 singular. Why is it popping flares? I wonder if that was supposed to be a QE Bismodded as a hind. Or maybe something like an OH-58 Bismodded as a hind.
Miller keeps calling and won't give me a break if I don't throw him a bone. Go pick him up at his hotel and take him for a tour, Commander. Show him around the base, do whatever you want, as long as you keep him out of my hair.
You don't have hair.
And take Williams with you. No offense, but she's more talkative than you.
Well, Commander, I guess we're the bone then. Miller's hotel is on the way to the training area. Let's hope he's in a better mood than the General.
Yeah. Okay, so I said this last time, that the camera seems to pan around where it is versus around the point where the mouse is. And I kind of prefer if it panned around to the point where the mouse was, instead of where the camera's position is. Although I don't really think that's a setting that you can meaningfully change. Huh. Okay, so the AI is smart enough to use the right side of the road.
All 3 Baltic states regrouped here. Lithuanian artillery, mechanized infantry from Latvia, as well as reservists and armored vehicles from Estonia. They have different equipment, different tactics, speak different languages. Creating an interoperable force in this region is a real headache.
This is why you do it now. This is why you do it now, and not when you're getting shot at.
Counselor Miller, I am Major Williams. It's a pleasure to have you with us. The Commander and I will show you around on our way to the General. Please hop in.
That's the entire point
Well,
for,
it's about time.
for
Let's go.
joint service exercises,
Take
or
me to
joint
the training ground first.
joint
I need to make sure that our equipment is
country
showcased in the
exercises.
best possible conditions.
The exercise is about to start, so you will be able to see for yourself. But I didn't know there was a show.
This whole exercise is for show, Major. A show of force for our potential enemies, but also an arms fair for our partners.
This is not
I see.
generally how you run an
And
arms
which
fair.
partners are we trying to
I don't
impress
think.
today, Counselor?
That's confidential. Just drive, Major.
Oh, wait, who's driving? Am I driving, or is the Major driving? I don't know. Anyway. Units. We have Unamogs. Several Unamogs. These are basically like European transport trucks. And they're cute. What other units do we have here that I can look at? We've got this thing. This thing looks, honestly, it looks like a Puma. It's called the something or other 180, but it looks like a Puma. It's also apparently amphibious, which in memory serves the Puma is. At least I think. Puma? No, wait, am I thinking of the Lynx? Oh, shoot. I might be thinking of the Lynx. Not Puma. BTR training target, BTR training target. Which, near as I can tell, is basically just a Humvee that has had a wooden frame put over it, so it's Viz-modded into a BTR. Which I'll admit is kind of nice. BTR training target. Building. They don't have the billboards up anymore. When I lowered the settings, they, actually, is that something that I can change? Settings. Decorations. Apply. I don't think that's going to tax the system too much. Resume. I was actually reading one of the billboards when the thing went splat last time. We had some PZH 2000s. We still have a PZH 2000 over here. So, German 155mm self-propelled howitzer. Anyway, what are we supposed to be doing? Oh, secondary. Inspect the training grounds. Go to the hangar. Skip tutorial. Well, at least they give us the option. Where am I? There I am. What is this? Artillery. Or some degree of artillery. You know, okay, I have never tried to plan the layout of a military base, but I can't help but think that having, like, generally when you set up an artillery range, or any kind of range for that matter, you don't put things like this over here. It should be over there. Or not over there. It should be, like, the rounds are traveling that way, so that should probably be somewhere else, is the point I'm trying to make, and trying very badly. Anyway, I'll stop nitpicking. Well, I mean, this is basically the first thing on the list, so... Wait, no, I gotta select the stupid Humvee. Humvee. Yes, 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 yes. Some of the voice lines can be rather amusing. And if you double click, that should tell the unit in question to basically travel along the road. And basically move as fast as possible. Even if your vehicle's not technically traveling.
Are we there yet, Major?
Road.
Almost, sir.
Oh, calm down. Good grief. One thing I will praise about this game is its accuracy. It is fairly accurate.
This is the artillery training ground, Counselor. Here our soldiers practice fire mission procedures. The commander will make a demonstration for you.
Sure, just volunteer
Let's
me.
see how much time it'll take you to hit all these targets, Commander.
Sure, just volunteer me. What's this? That is a striker. That's apparently facing the opposite direction to the targets, like the BTR training target. Huh. You know, I'm gonna do something.
Roger, we're Oscar Mike.
Are we there yet, Major?
Almost, sir.
Calm down, good grief. You're pushy. Like, we're halfway there.
This is the artillery training ground, Counselor. Here our soldiers practice fire mission procedures. The commander will make a demonstration for you.
Well, let's see how much time it'll take you to hit all these targets, Commander.
Okay, so I restarted the mission with the graphics set back to high. Hopefully this doesn't implode like it did last time. But yes, the billboards. This is what I was looking at the first time around when it imploded, because the billboards are kind of funny. They have Broken Arrow on them, and not only do they say Broken Arrow, they've also got this spiel over here. Broken Arrow is a large-scale modern warfare tactics game, something. Customization tools, or I'm guessing an army building system, and deep customization tools allow for, I'm assuming, endless units and endless replayability with 200 plus realistic something units and technologies, each battle something more immersive than ever before. Also, while I was doing this, I noticed, like, over here, you had, I believe you had scimitars. And I saw CV-9035. And you've got infantry here, who appears to be armed with M4 style rifles. And what appears to be a Carl Gustav DMR. And what appears to be an M240. And that one guy here has a M203. I don't know the name there. UH-60. Good miniguns. Anyway, I need to do this. So, let's see, artillery fire missions.
Order at your command, sir.
Select these vehicles. I have mortars. Smokes and PGMs. What's the stats here? 120, that's the cost. Okay. Mortar, range, dispersion. Oh, that's interesting. They've changed this around. Explosive damage. Instead of just heat, it's now saying explosive damage. So, ignore cover 12%. Dispersion. They made that more clear, for lack of a better term. Which makes me wonder. Kinetic damage. Okay, yeah. Alright, so...
Who wants a skylight for his house?
I will say, some of these voices can be rather amusing. But, yeah. And then this demonstrates, because you can only use the mortars within a certain range. I could shell that, and that's exactly the problem. Should I so desire? You also have 3 types of point target, line target, and then a creeping barrage. Creeping barrage is from like World War I, where the artillery will slowly creep forward. But I'm just going to go for the relatively short duration, relatively short, and a point mode, and we're going to start shelling this training target. They should be shooting. I mean, they should open up the, Oh, right, I need to unpause it. They should, yep, there they go. And then they're going to start firing those 120mm mortars. At our BTR
Dispersion increases with distance. That's why more rounds are needed to hit targets located further away. Smart munitions don't have this problem. They are much more accurate and can correct their trajectory to hit a target designated by a laser.
Press T. Okay. So, grab fire mission again. Huh. Hang on. Units, cameras, movements, indirect fire. Okay. So, does that mean I should, if I'm reading this correctly, I should be able to grab Creeping Barrage, And then I should be able to do that.
Copy. Call for fire received.
They seem very eager to start shelling things. This is not how you do a range. There's a road, and I think it's a civilian road, because it appears to be outside the confounds. Is this a civilian road on the opposite side of the artillery range? Oh yeah, sure. That'd be one heck of a speed bump, getting a mortar round shoved through the hood of your car. Is not dead. Don't worry, we can fix that. Boop.
Call for fire received.
Also, I'd like to point out that the dispersion actually, like the width of this dispersion circle, is putting these shells in the road. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize.
Our latest battlefield management interface enables extremely responsive fire missions.
It's funny to me.
It was I who sold that concept to Congress. Glad to see it works in practice, too.
So, what are we doing? Yeah, okay.
So how is your hotel, counselor? I've heard it's quite fancy.
Apart from the fact that I was woken up every 20 minutes by helicopters passing right over my head, it was lovely.
Roger. Moving out.
Now, if I just click this once,
Already there.
the Humvee is going to take the most direct route. But if I click it twice,
Moving there now.
the Humvee is going to use the paved road. Because double click is fast move, which is basically the unit, instead of taking the most direct route, takes the quickest route. Because if you'll notice here about the forward speed, this is the listed forward speed. You then have off-road speed. Off-road speed is, well, limited. Is just speed off of a road. Reverse speed doesn't appear to be affected by off-road speed.
Hey, why is the radar of this Patriot turned off?
What do you know
It's the standard
about...
procedure to keep the radar turned off by default, to keep the unit mobile and avoid destruction by anti-radiation missiles. They can still use their backup tracking systems to target aircraft, but in this mode, their detection and engagement range are limited.
Then switch this radar on, Commander. Let's see how far target practice drones can be detected and engaged.
Okay. I mean, I would legitimately like to...
Fast landing assistance. What can I do for you?
Fast landing assistance. I would like to, question what he knows about air defenses that the air defenders who are trained with the system don't, but... whatever. 300 points is a touch steep. Magazine size 12 fires 2 missiles per target and can engage 3 targets at once. Terminal guidance, decent range, decent blast radius. Max speed 2,880. Is that like meters? No, that can't be meters per second. That would be well within like Mach 10. And that would almost be Mach 10. It can shoot down missiles and fixed-wing aircraft, preferably at high altitude, and it has a terminal guidance. Alright, we'll just flip the radar.
Activated. Looking for contacts.
Wow! The range of these missiles is impressive.
The efficiency of the radar depends on the altitude of the target. Low-flying aircraft are harder to detect, and helicopters cannot be targeted at all as they fly below the minimum detection altitude of the radar. That's why short-range air defense, SHORAD, is needed to complement long-range surface-to-air missiles.
Hang on. Where's the mouse? Where's the mouse? Pause. Pause, 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 pause. What are these? These look like I'm trying to I'm gonna use my arrow keys for more maneuverability. I'm not sure, but I think that's an OH-58 that has basically been... Oh, here we go. Camera's finally locked on. That is an OH-58 that has been Viz-modded to look like a hind. It's kind of cute. Also, seeing as we are actively shooting these things down, I'm going to make an assumption that they are unmanned. I can't actually look inside and see whether or not there is a human operator in there. Unless you've taken the idea of executing or of implementing the death penalty in some very interesting, or implementing the death penalty for convicted felons to some interesting places.
Demonstration of our firepower, Commander. The message is clear. No country equipped with our anti-aircraft systems need worry about its airspace being violated.
It's not that simple. It's not that simple, Sunshine. Anyway, but what do I know? I treat military-related stuff like a hobby. Tanks. SEP V3s, from the looks of it. Is that a SEP V3? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's SEP V3. It's got a low-profile cruise on it. You know, as opposed to like a SEP V2.
Roger. Moving to next waypoint.
Can you step on the gas a bit? We're crawling.
Oh!
Sorry, sir. There are strict speed regulations on the base.
Yeah, of course there are.
Ooh, that is a CV... Oh, it's gone. Boo! I wanted to look at the CV-90. The problem is that this helicopter flies over, and I can see things, but those things don't remain visible for very long, and it sucks.
This is the tank firing range. A platoon of M1A2 Abrams is ready for the demonstration.
A2s, those are SEP V3s. Also, I thought a tank
armor
platoon...
is much stronger on the front than on the sides. The training of our crews consists in maneuvering to engage the enemy from the flank, while minimizing the exposure of their own flanks. Tanks carry different types of rounds. Explosive rounds to engage infantry and lightly armored vehicles, and armor-piercing rounds to deal with highly armored targets.
Thank you.
Explosive rounds are equally effective at any distance, but the penetration of armor-piercing rounds increases the closer you get to the target. You should move closer to the targets to demonstrate the increased penetrating power of the kinetic ammunition, Commander.
I don't care. I want to take a look and see what this is. This is clearly a Viz mod of a T-14. And I want to see, like, what vehicle they used. The running gear has... what is that, 6 wheels? Wait, what does that say on the back? Can we buy... Oh! This is something I said. I love this. Mom, can we buy some Armadas? We already have an Armada at home. Armada at home. Oh, it's Armata, not Armada. Oh, I love, like, I'm sorry. I love when developers... Is that supposed to be like a Bradley? That bulge there. I love when, oh wait, no, is this supposed to be a Leopard 1? I honestly have no idea what vehicle this is supposed to be. But I love when when they do stuff like that. Although that now makes me very, very curious. Where is the BTR training target? Did the developers put any sneaky messages around this? It doesn't look like they did. Okay, fine. Also, I thought a platoon was 4 vehicles, not 2, but...
Abrams here. We're combat ready.
Thank you. Heat, HE, APFSDS, or Armored Cruising Fin Stabilized Escorting Sabo. 1750. It was 1700 before.
Abrams, ready to roll. Rolling.
Can you send as many targets as possible? Let's see what a Soviet invasion of Europe would have looked like.
Our tanks benefit from good reverse speed, which is not the case with Russian-designed tanks. This allows us to move backward to avoid being overrun, while maintaining our powerful frontal armor facing the enemy.
Heavy cab, ready to roll. Reverse. Heavy cavalry ready for action.
Well, this is it. 70 tons of American diplomacy.
Technically, it's around
You
73
mean 70
tons.
tons of a diplomatic nightmare? I had explained to the Lithuanian government why they needed to reinforce all their road bridges from here to Poland to support their weight.
Sure, but when they arrive, nothing stands in their way.
Well, you could take
And
them on
how was
boats
your flight,
or
Counselor?
tank transporters.
Completely unremarkable. You know, I spent half my life in the air, so the only surprises would be finding snakes on the plane, flying the thing myself, or reaching my 60s without getting cancer.
Okay, so obligatory movie reference. Actually, I think there might be 2 movie references there. But, ooh, what's this? Vilkas! And more infantry. Vilkas. That, I believe, is that a boxer? I don't know. It's large, and I'm pretty sure it's a boxer. And I'm guessing this is the IFV configuration of the boxer. And then here you have subsequent infantry, who are armed with G36s, and what I'm guessing is an FN mag, not an M240. The M240 is the US version. That guy doesn't have a gun. That guy doesn't have a gun either. I'm guessing because he's supposed to have a gun of a specific type, but it's not in the game yet. And these appear to be vaguely AT-4-ish launchers. They don't look like NLAWs.
Armored transport reporting in. Roger. Moving to next waypoint.
Actually, no.
Copy. Relocating.
Go over here. Ooh, CV90s, CV90-35s. The CV90-35 specifically is the variant of the CV90 armed with a 35mm autocannon. Thus the 35 in the name compared to the CV90-40, which is armed with 40mm Bofors. I believe the autocannon is a derivative of the Bushmaster. You got the Bushmaster, which is 25mm, the Bushmaster 2, which is 30, and I believe the 35mm is the Bushmaster 3. I'm not sure if there's a Bushmaster 4 that's chambered in 40mm. I do, however, believe that you can convert the Bushmaster 2 to 40mm just by changing several parts. And I think you can convert the Bushmaster 3 to 50mm from 35, the Bushmaster 2 from 40mm to 30mm, from 30mm to 40mm. But you can convert the Bushmaster 3, 35mm, to 50mm with changing several parts as well. So. For reference, 25mm 1 inch, 30mm 1.2, 35 is about 1.4, 40 is about 1.6, and 50 is about 2 inches. Give or take. It's not entirely clean like that. Scouts. So, like the equivalent of Cav Scouts? DMR, rifle, the rifle, light machine gun, rifle. Okay, so yeah, roughly the equivalent of Cav Scouts. These are all CV90-35s. More scouts. You know, I'm actually gonna change the keybinds up. Where is attack, abilities, aviation, camera, switch camera top view, common, height tool. Oh, they have the height tool. Okay. Switch HUD, F7. Can I just, like, select I'm not sure if that did it. Huh. Okay. So it doesn't want to take space. That's a bit of a pest. Because I don't know what num int is. I don't appear to have a key like that. I have num lock. Is it num lock? It's not num lock. Huh. I would like to have put that to
What's going on here?
spacebar.
Some of our vehicles broke down, apparently.
That tends
Thanks
to happen.
to the diagnostic system integrated into our vehicles, we can easily identify which part is damaged.
Four types: detection, aiming, reloading, and mobility. Okay. So I'm guessing yellow means that it's impaired, and red means it's just non-functioning. All right.
We cannot let that happen. Not today.
Calm down.
Don't worry, sir. We have the necessary supplies to repair them. The commander will call a cargo truck from the support group and make sure they bring a big load of supplies with them.
Control, left mouse, shift, left mouse. I'd like to point out that if you're going to conduct an exercise of any kind, okay, if you're going to conduct an exercise of any kind, things like these are going to happen.
As soon as the supplies are unloaded next to the vehicles, the crew will handle the repairs automatically.
Tactical truck ready to haul.
Okay. Wait, what'd that say? Press the button twice to unload immediately. Okay.
Heavy transport here, send traffic.
Where is the... No. That's the button I'm looking for, I think.
End of the line. All out, please.
But yes, things like that tend to happen during exercises. The more you work something, the more it's going to wear. It's that simple. I just love how it's a shipping container and some barrels with the camo not thrown over it. I think that's so cute.
The vehicles are now fully operational again.
Perfect. Now let's move on.
What are you doing? You just did something weird. Oh yes, also... You have this is your line of sight tool. Apparently, home, I think,
Troop transport, standing by.
is your elevation tool. So this basically dictates how far the selected unit can see. You'll notice that there's a large overall circle. That's the limit of the unit's detection range. You can't see anything beyond that. The areas that are lit up specifically are the areas that the unit can actually, again, see. You'll note that forests are not particularly easy to see through, and buildings block line of sight entirely. So, and then stealth basically acts as a divider. So, to use this as an example, or no, a view range of 1,200 meters, stealth of 1. So there's no division going on. If the stealth is 1.25, that basically shaves about 20% off of the view range. So if this was looking at a unit with a stealth of 1.25, that unit would have to get within 960 meters of this one in order for this unit to see it. If it has a stealth of 2.5, it would have to get within, I believe 2.5 is... Actually, you know what? Hang on. Calculator. So, 1,200 divided by 1.25, 960. Alright, that's what I figured. 1,200 divided by 2.5 should reduce the detection. I'm not entirely sure how much. Divided by 2.5. I think it reduces it to only 40% of what it was. So that should be 480. Yeah, 480. There's also 1.75 and 3. So just as an example, divided by 1.75, which is the base stealth value for most infantry, gives us about 685 meters, or divided by 3 gives us 400. So that's basically the way stealth works. It's simple. It's a bit annoying if you don't know it, but it's the basics are simple, which I think is nice. Yeah, that's where I picked up what's his face. Hangar, skip to tow. Helipad, ATGM shooting range, infiltration course, CQC training center. I didn't actually realize these areas were labeled. Okay, so that's the artillery range, that's the air defense, tanks, whatnot. Anyway, let's go over here. Well, no, let's first select the Humvee. So...
Someone call for a cab?
Also, can I select this? Oh, I can. Okay, and so you can just, like...
Someone asked for a ride? Roger, moving out.
Oh, and the tanks go on their way. Please don't get in front of the... Well, that's an A2 Abrams, so that's probably around 68, 69 tons. Please don't get in front of the machine. That thing would crush a Humvee and not even know it. The crew would basically be like, oh, that's an interestingly large speed bump. And the Hemet just despawned. And we're going over to the helipad with Chinooks.
Helicopters are impressive machines. Boy, are they noisy.
They're also difficult to
Our
maintain.
pilots are ready to take off. Do you want to hop in for a ride, counselor?
Certainly. It'll be a nice change from those little private helicopters that fly like cabs.
Cargo helicopters can transport troops and supplies, but also vehicles as long as their weight allows it. One of our vehicles broke down during a maneuver exercise. Let's go and recover it with our helicopter.
Well, hang on. What kind of disability does it have?
Someone call for a cab?
Infantry squads. the weight. A mobility. Okay, so again, I'm not trying to nitpick. I love this game, and I know the developers have made very specific choices. However, damage to a track is something that the crew should be able to repair by themselves. There's 3 levels of basically recovery. Self-recovery, if a track's damaged, you fix it. Like vehicle recovery, if you're stuck and you need a bit of a tow, get another vehicle of the same type or heavier to just pull you out. And then there's dedicated recovery, which would require a dedicated recovery vehicle, like, for example, the M88. And now the developers said that they didn't want vehicles to be able to perform recovery, like to do things like this by themselves. And I understand that. I also think that when it comes to things like combat engineers, they missed the chance to have vehicles like or to have things like combat engineers be able to provide on-site repair, for lack of a better term. I don't know. I just think that would be neat, I guess. I just think that's something that that you could do.
Chinook, standing by.
So. It give you an option, or give you reason to add vehicles like M88s and whatnot.
Call my hero fat again.
Well, I mean, it is a little bit thick. Now, do they actually have sling loading animations? I don't know. It would be epic if they did.
The hooks are in place. Now let's drop it off at the repair station.
Oh, they don't. That's okay.
Cargo dropped.
That's a bit unfortunate that they don't have sling load animations. I mean, I get it. It'd be another thing that they'd have to do, but it's a little sad. Although I just love the idea now that they somehow dragged an M113 into the Chinook. I mean, I don't think a Chinook's cargo bay is that big. In fact, the Chinook technically is only considered a medium-lift helicopter by U.S. Army designation. Aircraft like the CH-53 are considered heavy lift, even though you would think that with the tandem rotor setup and a design specifically.
The mechanics will get it back in working order. How about a little target practice now, counselor? Get behind one of the machine guns, and we'll put you in range of some targets to shoot at.
But I have never fired a machine gun before.
Oh, well, you'll be
Don't
fine.
worry, it's very simple, and I'll be here to help.
The door gunner should also be here to help, seeing as it is
Awaiting mission.
his machine gun.
Flying to coordinates. Chinook, at your command.
Trying to... There we go. I was trying to get the camera to hook onto it. But yes, even though the Chinook does have this distinctive tandem rotor setup, It's only technically considered a medium lift helicopter.
Here we go.
Oh gosh.
Come on, get some! Woo! Yeah!
Oh gosh. At least he's enjoying himself. I would prefer to make a little bit more distance from these targets. Okay.
Pretty impressive for someone who's never shot before.
That must be a natural.
Oh gosh, it's gonna go to
All
your
the
head
targets are
now.
down. Let's head back to the helipad.
It's
I've
gonna-
not had that much fun in a long time. You sure know how to entertain, Major. You should come work with me. With you by my side, getting those contracts signed would be a breeze. Plus, you wouldn't have to work with this grumpy old man anymore.
Thank you for the offer. At the moment, I'm tied to my current assignment.
I see. Well, think about it.
Troop transport ready!
And then the ship's gonna go off and do its own thing, I'm guessing.
Pedal to the metal.
By the way, Counselor, where do you and the General know each other from?
Ah, we were friends once. Good friends, actually.
Oh, and what happened?
Can we just not have this conversation, please? When do we get there?
This is the ATGM shooting ground. It stands for Anti-Tank Guided Missiles.
Yep.
They travel slower than tank rounds, but have a greater range. Their use is therefore preferable when the line of sight is unobstructed.
Now.
Yeah, I know that. Send the targets. Let's see that in practice.
TOW 2. Is this the TOW 2A or the TOW 2B? It does not specify. TOW BB, TOW 2A. Okay, so it's the TOW 2A. Striker ATGM. Semi-active. Is that supposed to be feet per second? It'd be weird if that's supposed to be feet per second, because otherwise it's metric. Unless that's supposed to be kilometers per hour. Even then, it wouldn't be necessarily fast. I mean, 720 kilometers per hour is approximately 450 to 475 miles an hour. And while I'm not necessarily sure the TOW missile breaks the speed of sound, I'm pretty sure it travels faster than that. Although, granted, if Patriot was traveling at, what was it, 2,880 kilometers per hour, that would make it traveling at very roughly, what's that, what would it be like, 620, 1240, 1,800 miles an hour, give or take. And 1,800 miles an hour is about Mach 2.5, which the Patriot interceptors could travel at, quote, Mach 4 unclassified, unquote. I mean, again, I'm not trying to nitpick. Obviously, they had to downscale a lot of ranges to keep things within the arena size.
In absence of a specific command, the gunners communicate their targets to each other. If a missile is already in flight, the other gunner will give priority to another target. That way, no missiles are wasted.
It's a pleasant surprise to see I'm not the only one worrying about the taxpayers' money here.
The range of the missiles can be superior to the detection range of the unit, so they generally work alongside recon units. The gunners are trained to switch targets mid-flight if the initial target disappears or if instructed to do so. This is particularly useful, as the long flight time of the missile can give time to the enemy to take cover or activate their smoke dischargers.
I hope you use the old TOW 2A for this demonstration. The new top attack TOW 2B costs twice as much, so using them against anything other than a tank is a waste of resources.
Don't worry, sir. We use special training ammunition, both cheaper and less hazardous than regular ammo during exercises.
Okay. So one thing I will say, just one thing I will say, is I wish there was the ability to take that option where a unit would basically would be where units would try and conserve ammunition by only firing at targets that aren't already being engaged. But I wish there was an option of toggling that on and off, because active protection systems are a thing in this game, and one of the best ways to defeat an active protection system, both in and outside of the game, either in the game or real life, is basically to just saturate it. That's the idea behind something like the Russian RPG-30, which I mean, it's a standard dumbfire ATGM launcher. I say ATGM launcher. Technically, it's not guided. It's just point at target, pull trigger. But it fires 2 rockets. The first is basically a tiny dummy charge, which is fired a split second before the main rocket. The idea is that the dummy charge is picked up by the target's active protection system first, and that is engaged by the active protection system, which means that the active protection system now doesn't have time to engage the main rocket, and lets the main rocket hit the vehicle. It's also worth noting that since the RPG-30 has basically been developed, really modern active protection systems are actually programmed to look for that kind of thing, and so would know, oh wait, that, according to its radar signature, is a dummy. That thing just behind it, that's the thing I want to destroy. The way an active protection system works is you have a number of radars around the vehicle, connected to a couple of launchers that will fire out something akin to a miniature missile or a shotgun blast, and destroy the incoming projectile before it actually makes contact with the vehicle. What are we doing? Oh, we're done. Okay.
Humvee ready.
So I think... Well, wait, no.
Moving there now.
I would love to see the stats of these BTR training targets.
I see nothing happening here. What's going on?
That's the point, I think.
It's a good sign, sir. Our troops are exercising their camouflage skills here. They try to reach the target area undetected by staying away from the hostile patrols, staying in cover as much as possible, and sprinting to move across open areas faster. Recon units are specially trained and equipped to remain as discreet as possible. They have a reduced visual, thermal, and electronic signature that makes them harder to detect.
Electronic signature? So they refrain from posting geolocalized selfies during the mission? Impressive.
that may or may not be a nod to things that the Russians may or may not have done in Ukraine. Or how, in at least one case, Ukraine was able to, for lack of a better term, dial in their HIMARS strikes because Russian troops kept taking selfies of the Ukrainian missiles and like, oh look, they missed it, and then Ukraine just looks at this, and the Ukrainian HIMARS operators looks at the selfies like, okay, well, if we missed it by that much, if we make a small correction here, let's see what happens. Fire off a few rockets. Hour or two later, new Russian selfie, and they eventually dialed it in. That happened on at least one occasion. Line of sight.
Snipers here.
Okay. What we got? Scout snipers, 2-man team. Stealth of 3. Alright. Oh, they have a laser designator. DMR, marksman rifle. Or sniper rifle. Sniper rifle cannot be fired on the move. Alright, so that is cover. That is kind of cover. Pretty flimsy cover. Alright, so let's just take a moment here. What are the patrol patterns? Okay, so they've lost visual there. Okay, so they can see that. Alright, and then it basically turns around. Thank you. Okay, so.
Hunters of gunmen here.
Hunters of gunmen? Is that what you said?
Infiltration underway.
So, I'm sorry. I love how half the voice lines in this game sound like they're from a 1980s action flick.
No time to lose. Moving quietly.
What do we have here?
Infiltrating.
Preferably staying away from that BTR as it comes back around.
Copy. Infiltrating.
Wow. They must have bad vision. Then again, I like to point out that this is literally a Humvee. For reference, this is literally a Humvee where the driver can only see out the front. So, yeah, you do have bad vision. I wonder if it's technically possible to fail this exercise. I can move there, and then I can move there, and then I can move there and there. Okay, so... Now, where is this vehicle headed? Back towards us.
Sniper team, standing by.
Okay, so...
Click like. We move in silence. Sneaking in.
One thing I did like about, or I do like, not did, but I do like about this game is that the game treats things like explosions in a fairly realistic manner, which I like. CM48-5. Huh, it's only giving me range for one weapon, when theoretically both of them should be, BTR training, target. I want to see something real quick. Hotkeys. Height tool. Oh, C, not home. Okay. Page up. Oh, there's a conflict there. Okay, so... Alright, there's not a conflict. Apply. Back. Resume. So, what is... Oh, okay, so that's just like a... Oh, I have zoomed in way too far. How do I zoom out? How do I zoom out? Okay. Alright, so... That BTR... Or that is heading that way. That is heading away... Yes. So just...
Cyber team, at your orders, sir.
Have them move there. Ah, okay. So there, covers from there.
Walking like ghosts.
That BTR should come back around.
Moving silent.
Sneak here. One thing they said when they did a
We're moving in silence.
when they did a live stream, and they actually showed the tutorial, but in the live stream back in February, was they basically mentioned how they wanted to keep the game from holding your hand too much. Like you weren't gonna have an objective. You weren't gonna have an objective move forward, and then congratulations, you've completed that objective. They assume
On the move.
that players are going to be able to, know how to play the game. Which I think is a nice touch.
Double time. Infiltration underway. Need a rifle?
No, but if I need someone's head ventilated, I know who to ask. Oh, that's the helicopter range.
Infiltrating.
I was under the impression there was 3 vehicles. And yet I've only seen 2 so far.
Moving silent.
These guys are going to loop around there. That's been their patrol pattern. Another vehicle there. Ah, just bumped the microphone. Yep. Okay, so there are 3 vehicles. That one basically appears to be following a patrol pattern like that. This one appears to be following a patrol pattern like that. And that one just appears to be going in a giant circle. Okay, when he turns around and drives back that way and he toddles off over there, then I should be free to get to the objective. Stealth. It requires patience.
Moving quietly.
I kind of wish there was a patch of foliage in the objective.
Well, well. Looks like we have hide-and-seek champions.
Go fast.
And then over here, I believe this is the last...
Humvee here. Go ahead.
The last area.
What's being built here?
Nothing. This is the close quarter training area. Infantrymen use these buildings to simulate urban combat. The rules are simple. We try to capture their sector, and they try to capture ours.
Sounds good. Let's see what you're made of, Commander.
Okay, cool. Now, where on Earth is their sector? There's their sector. Okay, so it's around those buildings. So, what do we got? Wow. Okay, this is going to be horribly this is going to be horribly RSOV is armed with a Browning. And then I have an AGL team or Stinger team. Or not Stinger team, but I have a Javelin team rather. Okay. I have an ICV with okay. So my first priority would be to basically get my sector under control. That is my first priority. How much is that? That's 45. So 70. So I can grab one of these with one of these.
Moving there now. Good copy. Next waypoint received.
Infantry
Already
weapons
there.
have varying ranges and efficiencies. Long-range support weapons usually require the unit to be static, while short-range assault weapons can be fired on the move. Assault weapons are also more effective once in range, and can be used to breach buildings held by
Recon
enemy
vehicle.
units.
Send traffic. Over. Good copy. Next waypoint received.
So they should...
Need some heavy firepower? I love big guns. Weapons team at your orders.
Okay, cool. They're garrisoning that building. That means that, if I were to pull out my sight tool, this has basically become a giant a giant, what's-it tower. Now, I could take the RSOV. Now, here's the thing. I could take the RSOV and I can send it forward, and it's probably going to get shot up and explode, and get blown up because it has basically no armor. But since I don't need to do that, I'm just going to tell it to RTB. And then what I believe I'm going to do is I'm going to have you move over here. And congratulations, you've now become Overwatch. What are we shooting at? What is this? It's an M113 with a 50 cal. Okay. You've become Overwatch and you are within range. Nice little action shot there. The M113 does not appear to have exploded, but that's fine. So, I'm going to grab this other one. Oh, you'll be fine. And what other units? Infantry vehicle. That's 45. I can bring that. And I can bring one of those along.
Vehicles can provide excellent fire support, but are vulnerable to infantry anti-tank rockets.
Yes.
They must therefore be kept out of their range as much as possible.
One more hit and our vehicle's done!
Yes, I know. Hush. I was talking to her, not this. What do we got? MG42s. Okay, they had... I thought they had... M113. Okay, cool. So...
Striker, engage in combat!
Thank you.
All trench monkeys, dismount! Armored transport reporting in. Passes out.
M113. M113. Okay. God. What is that?
Striker awaiting orders. Copy. Relocating.
That might not strictly be a good idea. Problem is, there's basically no cover. I take that back.
Roger. We're on the move.
So, they've got an M113 there.
fire or take damage, their stress level increases, which makes them less efficient. There are 2 levels of stress expressed by a blinking orange or red color on their label.
That's not going to help me
When a
very
unit
much.
is low on ammo or heavily damaged, it's preferable to send it back to base rather than abandoning it to its fate. Units sent back to base become available again sooner, and you'll receive a bonus of requisition points proportional to their condition.
Return to base.
Yes, I'm aware. Thank you.
Rangers here! We're under fire!
No, I wouldn't want you. I want you.
Transport, engage in combat. All bullet catchers, disembark.
So... Actually, no.
Rangers, ready for action!
Striker in combat.
Get in that building! Set up a base of fire!
No, actually, what I want you to do
Rangers standing by!
is to get back in the truck and there really is no area, no defilade. I think I used that term correctly here, except for over there. So
Armored transport under fire.
potentially about to do something a touch dumb
Roger.
here.
We're Oscar Mike.
I can take an ICV loaded with another squad.
Moving out.
At your orders!
Okay, so they still got half of their
Heavy weapons
missiles.
team under fire!
Okay, so
Striker ready for combat. Already there.
Surrender is not a Ranger word! Look alive! Get in that vehicle!
so swap around, and then you
Personal carrier ready.
are going to do that. Oh. Well, that's a bit unfortunate.
Striker in combat. Send your orders.
What else can I do? Vehicle. I do not have any more of those available. Yet. I can grab one of these with one of these and try.
Roger. Moving to next waypoint.
No,
Personal carrier here.
you guys need to get over there.
Moving out. Someone call for a cab? Good copy. Next waypoint received.
Ah, I'm guessing they have a Carl Gustav. Like, that's why I mean, I say that. That sounds dumb,
Heavily damaged. Need maintenance.
but what I mean is the weapon they're using specifically is a cargo stuff.
Personal carrier under fire.
I shouldn't have done that.
Striker here. Driver, move back.
I should have offloaded the Rangers
Rangers in combat, awaiting command.
in the building before I
Armored transport ready.
where is there it is.
Rangers lead the way.
Okay, so
Striker standing by. Moving there now.
and I think that's a win.
Well, that was a good show, Commander. But it demonstrates one thing. Our allies are not ready at all to defend themselves.
We can't take much more.
Had it been the Russians in front of them today, they would have been slaughtered.
Oh, good grief.
Failure is part of training, sir. They're only reservists. They will continue to drill.
That's all well and good, but I'm not here for these trifles. I've got a major fighter jet contract to attend to. So here's the real showstopper. I want you to demonstrate its air-to-ground and air-to-air capabilities for our guests.
Take a seat, Miller. I'm in charge here.
Ah, General. I was wondering when you'd come out of hiding. So, what's on the menu, Chef?
We'll start with a classic. Close air support with good old A-10s.
Yeah, like in '91, the good old days. You never change your record, do you?
Shut up, Miller! Commander, you will be leading this demonstration. Call in an A-10 and order it to destroy the marked targets.
Okay. Mr. Grumpy? I'm guessing that's the Chinook. Alright, what do we got? A-10s with a pair of AGM... What are they? AGM 65s? And the good old Burt stick itself. So you just grab the aircraft and then you plunk it down on the ground.
Planes must work in coordination with recon to target enemy ground units. The recon detects and identifies the target while the plane maneuvers to attack it.
I love how you can apparently garrison the, Is that a C-17? It looks like a C-17. Just painted differently. You can garrison the C-130. Cool.
I know you want to see that gun in action.
Okay, so we've got health and fuel. Ground range, 0. Yes, it's worth noting, aircraft cannot spot for themselves. They cannot spot ground targets for themselves. Which I'm pretty sure is exactly what they just said. 6 minutes of fuel, which is kind of impressive. Health. The big old birch stick. Yes, it can be used against helicopters and aircraft. If memory serves, I think an A-10 did actually get a kill on a helicopter with its gun during, I believe it was Desert Storm. So, nab the A-10. Strafing run. So, do I select a target? I'm guessing I just select one of these poor sods.
Solid copy. Diving on target. I know you want to see that gun in action. Direct attack pattern confirmed. Standing by for target. Let's gun something down. Close air support incoming.
And then you could just right-click stuff. I wonder if that means that you only use your gun, or if that would also mean that you use ammunition like missiles. And coming around. I hope these buildings aren't important.
Whoa! The sound of that gun always gives me chills. It reminds me of... well, whatever. Send the plane back to base before it runs out of fuel.
Okay.
I'm the ultimate ground pounder. Time to bug out.
Oh, nuts! That was Leopard 2A7. That sucks. I mean, I understand why they don't make aircraft, or why they don't allow aircraft to see ground targets. But I would think it'd be kind of interesting if they did. To be fair, if aircraft could see ground targets, they'd probably rule. Then again, air power does to an extent
Now
rule.
call in a Harrier to make a bombing run.
Oh, great. Another old crate.
Excuse me, old crate. I'd like to point out that said old crate would still be capable of doing work.
Turning to new heading.
Where is...
Harrier here. Send traffic. Over.
These are just standard Mark 82s, so they're high drag bombs.
Pickle button. Hot and ready.
Pickle button?
Strike complete.
Oh, and it used all of them.
Send the plane back to base before it runs out of fuel.
Good to know.
Harrier standing by.
There you go.
All right, Commander, send in the F-15EX now.
Finally.
What do we got? So, it's got 2 Sidewinders, 6 AMRAAMs, and 9 laser-guided JDAMs. Are those the 2,000-pound JDAMs? I don't know if those are the 2,000-pound JDAMs or if they are the 500-pound JDAMs. I think they're the 500-pound JDAMs. I think the 2,000-pounders are the GBU 56.
This plane is equipped with a laser designation pod and smart bombs. You mark the target with the pod, and the bombs will correct their trajectory to hit with pinpoint accuracy.
That's the way laser-guided ordnance works. Click on the laser ability, then validate it on the target, and the bomb will follow the laser. Okay, so where is...
Eagle here. Send mission. Over.
Actually, that's a point. Can I, like, get the camera to...
Eagle copies. 5 by 5.
So what are we looking at? Okay, so yeah, those are definitely the 500-pounders. And you see the laser designation pod. Interestingly enough, it does not have external fuel tanks. I would have figured that it did. And you can see right down into the compressor blades. It's worth noting that when it comes to radar cross-section from the front, an aircraft's compressor blades are responsible for a majority of that.
Eagle ready.
A significant majority of it. This is why most stealth aircraft have what's known as S-ducts, or diverterless supersonic inlets.
You see, making gun runs and guiding missiles is outdated. Now, you drop a bomb from as far as you can and you let it do the job for you.
Well, let's try again with a moving target this time, and you'll see that a human is still needed to predict the target's trajectory.
Going for effect.
The aircraft's got to be lined up. That was a horrible miss.
The target is still standing, Commander. Don't make us look like fools. We're here to demonstrate the capabilities of this plane, not your lack of competence.
Good grief, give me a second, would ya? Where are you headed? Oh, that's interesting. You can cancel the strike by doing that.
Coordinates received. Commencing attack.
The problem is that the plane has to be in the right spot, or that happens.
Solid copy. Air support mission inbound. Strike coordinates received. Airstrike is go for effect. Eagle standing by. Rolling on the target area. Coming around now. Eagle copies. Solid copy. Air support mission inbound. Going for effect.
The problem, I believe I already said this, but the problem with this exercise is that you don't know where, because basically the plane has to line itself up on the target. Oh, there we go. We might have something.
When you take one of these bombs on the face like that, the coffin they send back home doesn't weigh much. Believe me. Send in a second F-15, Commander. This time to demonstrate its air-to-air capabilities against drones.
We have potential buyers for dozens of these planes, so make sure these drones are shot down nice and clean, Commander.
Remind me, Miller, are we here to defend these people or to sell them weapons?
Blind the coordinates.
Selling them weapons means they can defend themselves. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. I just make sure they buy from the right bait and tackle shop.
Okay, target drone. Target drone.
Drone destroyed. Proceed to next target.
Eagle standing by for orders. Eagle mission ready.
Here's me. Here's me again. Another target drone.
Second target destroyed.
Changing course.
They're cute target drones.
Three out of 3.
There's one more drone, Commander. Finish it.
Hang on. That is not an RQ-7. It looks like an RQ-7 because that is a Corsair. Here's an interesting little fact.
Great job, Commander.
The Corsair
If we land
is a
contract
Russian
for a few
knockoff
jets after
of
that,
the
I'll be
RQ-7.
damned.
we've got a problem. I've asked confirmation from the airbase, and they sent 3 drones as planned, not 4.
Oh, shit. Don't tell me we scratched some civvies who can't read a map.
No, sir. The radar signature was definitely that of a UAV.
Well, in any case, that means trouble.
Yay, I did it! So they did teach you how to, complete all the objectives in less than 30 minutes. Find the hidden unit. Nosy Parker. Okay, that's interesting. Losses 90. Destruction 850. So I didn't do it time-wise. Find the hidden unit. Okay. Let's see what happens next. What do we got? Tensions escalate rapidly between NATO and Russia. Okay, and that's Belarus, that's Poland. That's the enclave of Kaliningrad. What I'm going to do, however, is I think I'm going to check out... Oh, a hotfix. I'm going to check out some of the units. A number of fixes cause some missions to crash. Connectivity issues in the territory of Russia. Please read this thread for more information. The Big Wave. Mission Operation Cold Harbor. Prevented players from playing the mission after a short amount of time. Okay. I mean, honestly, bugs like that are bound to happen. Does not matter what kind of release it is.